Layer up, buttercup. I feel like the Michelin Man. Do people still say that? I can't even move. It's not even that cold today, but I thought I needed to layer up. The day started and it was just teeming down with rain. So I've delayed coming out because I had to do a couple of other errands. I was, small mercies, I was able to do that in the car. But this is the point. During the winter months, or as the winter progresses, autumn and then into winter, I tend to wear more and more layers. And I exchange layers for heated clothing and all that sort of stuff. So if you watch all my videos from last year, you see that I was messing around with a lot of that. Another brand, Kais, but also this Gerbing as well. So I really like these heated gloves. Okay, they're battery powered, but I could also power them from the bike if I wanted to. And that's one of my little tasks of this week, is to wire up all my little wires for my heated jacket and gloves. Anyway, what I don't like about this layering up, right? If you're going to ride in winter, you got to layer up, grow a pair, take some man-up pills. Yeah, it's going to be cold. It's going to be horrible. It's going to be crappy riding weather, crappy riding roads. But the worst thing for me is that I'm walking around like a robot. I look like the Michelin Man. I look like some blacked out sumo wrestler. It's just the size and the restriction that I just don't like. And that's when, in the middle of winter, when I'm riding around on the heroic Harley, I yearn for the spring to come back and the summer to come back. Now, I love riding in the winter, don't get me wrong, but it's just that thing of having to put on all the clothes, layer up. You can't walk properly, you can't stretch, you can't move around. I don't know what you're saying. Yeah, just reduce the layers and wear some heated clothing. But even with that, it's still... Look, in the depths of winter, especially if I'm going on a longer journey, let's say, I'll be wearing multiple layers underneath. I'll be wearing the heavyweight winter weight clothing. I'll be wearing a rain suit over the top, especially if I know it's going to rain. And on top of that, I'll be wearing trousers and jacket windbreaker as well. So look, you can just imagine the layers just get more and more and more. Now, yes, I am toasty, don't get me wrong, nice and warm for the most part, but still, it's a bit overkill. Do you know what I mean? Well, looks like they're taking this building apart. Lots of metal recycling. The great thing about winter gloves or heated gloves is that they keep your hands warm, right? The bad thing is about winter gloves and heated gloves to a certain degree, but more so heavyweight winter gloves, is that your manual dexterity, well, it just goes out the window. So it's always a trade-off. I always note this time of year when autumn has set in and then you're getting crappy riding days, lots of rain, lots of cold mornings, that kind of thing, that the amount of bikes that I see on the road dramatically reduces. Now, that goes for during the week when people are commuting, but especially at the weekend for all the leisure riders, let's say, or people just going out on a leisurely ride. Now, this time of year is lovely. I keep on talking about it in some of my recent videos. Yeah, the colours are changing. Autumn is a lovely time of year to ride. But there is a condition to that claim, right? A condition to that observation. And that is, it's lovely to ride when it's dry, when it's a sunny day and the roads are dry. When it's wet and you've got lots of leaves on the ground, it just becomes a slippery mess. Not only does it become a slippery mess, also lots of the back roads that I ride on have lots of moss that grows in the middle of the road. And you might not be able to see it on here, but it's this slippery moss right there. Now, where the cars are driving, you don't get that build-up, but in the middle of where those cars are driving, that's where it builds up. And there's one particular back road which I take. It is pretty horrendous. During the summer last year, or sort of springtime, the local council must have sprayed it with a chemical to kill it off. But as with most things, it just grows back again. So I went down there the other day, and yeah, the heroic Harley was slipping and sliding all over the place. Not a good move. So perhaps that's why people just don't ride their bikes. I'm sure it's one for the comfort level. Yeah, it's too cold and they just don't want to get wet. I'm sure there's a lot of that, but also it's a lot of it you just don't want to risk your bike, you know, coming off, slipping on some horrible stuff, or just getting caught out on something. But also a lot of people just don't want to ruin their pride and joy. They don't want to get it dirty. So my heroic Harley was a little bit worse for wear a couple of weeks ago. It was pretty awful. The mud had accumulated for quite a few weeks riding. Anyway, so I decided to give it a wash. Lovely. But no sooner had I washed it, I took it out for a ride and it got caked in mud again. It's just the way it is this time of year. So you either never ride your bike, or you get a cheaper alternative like the wing to hack, which I always talk about. Or you just put up with it, and well, I kind of just put up with it. You know what I mean? I just well, the bike gets dirty, I wash it, you know, or I just rinse it all off. It never looks good in the winter, never. I mean, I do the moisture repellents and the ACF 50 stuff and all that sort of stuff, WD-40. I do it all on the bike during the winter months, especially when it starts getting icy cold and they start treating the roads. That's when I do my bike, but it always looks like a bag of spanners. It really does. But I've got to say, that doesn't bother me. It's you know, having a dirty bike has never really bothered me. I do like to keep my bikes in tip-top mechanical condition, but I've never really, you know, regard them as any kind of show pony. I have had bikes where I would only take them out on dry days, but say this is the only bike I've got on the road right now. I do have the 125, but you know, in all fairness, I should be riding that in the winter now. But do you know what, I bought it, I've worked on it, but I haven't ridden it in ages, so it's kind of stuck in the workshop, not really doing a lot. I really must ride that a little bit more and have a bit more fun. But there's one thing for sure about riding in winter. When you layer up, yep, you put on the timber. It's like you become a blue whale. You know, you pile on the blubber, you know, to cope with the winter. And your blubber is your clothing. So anybody who rides a Harley in the winter becomes a fat so-and-so, if you know what I mean. Or a motorcycle in general. You start layering up, you start growing in size. Underneath, your body still stays the same. Maybe you put on a few extra pounds, especially around Christmas, you know what I mean? But you just physically grow bigger for all the layers. Yeah, you just look like a fat bastard. But there's nothing wrong with that, of course. I don't want to get all sizist and everything, you know what I mean? But, you know, you can't move, you can't breathe, and you look like the Michelin Man or a sumo wrestler, whatever takes your fancy. Anyway, with that, I'm going to go ride the very dirty girl that is a heroic Harley, and I'm gonna ride off into the grey dull day here where I live and go and get some action, as it were. But whatever you do in this winter, have a great time, whether you're riding or not. Who cares? You do you, as they say, and I do me. Whatever. Well, just enjoy yourselves, and listen, thanks for watching, and I'll catch you again on another video, well, whenever that is. But me and the dirty girl are gonna go ride. Ta-da.